The massive ship emerged from hyperspace like a blade cutting through fabric of reality, its obsidian surface drinking in the light from Sol as it positioned itself between Earth and Luna. Commander Sarah Chen stood in the Strategic Defense Command Center beneath Mount Cheyenne, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the vessel's impossible dimensions. "Scan complete," announced Lieutenant Maya Patel, her fingers dancing across the quantum interface. "The vessel is approximately 15 kilometers in length. Energy readings are, well, they're off any scale we've ever encountered." Chen nodded, her expression carefully neutral as she studied the readouts. Around her, the command center hummed with controlled activity as Earth's apparent first contact with an alien civilization unfolded. To any observer, the scene would appear to be exactly what one would expect: a primitive species encountering vastly superior technology for the first time. That was exactly what Chen wanted them to think. "Incoming transmission," Maya reported. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies." "Let's hear what they have to say," Chen replied, straightening her uniform with practiced precision. The voice that filled the command center was deep and resonant, its artificial translation carrying hints of superiority and disdain. "People of Earth, we are the Meridian Collective. We have observed your development and determined that your species represents an unacceptable risk to galactic stability. You will surrender your world and submit to collective guidance, or face immediate extinction. You have 48 Earth hours to comply." Murmurs filled the command center, all part of the carefully choreographed show. Chen caught the eye of General Marcus Rivera, who gave an almost imperceptible nod. Everything was proceeding according to plan. "They're transmitting technical specifications," Maya continued, maintaining her act of nervous awe. "Weapons capabilities, shield strengths. They're not being subtle about their technological superiority." Chen allowed herself a small smile. "Download everything they're willing to share. Let's see how much they want to impress us." The next hour unfolded exactly as the Earth Defense Initiative had predicted. The Meridian vessel maintained its position, a looming threat in plain sight, while smaller craft emerged to take up strategic positions throughout the solar system. To their sensors, Earth's military satellites and defensive installations would appear primitive, barely worthy of notice. None of them detected the quantum-shifted facilities buried beneath the lunar surface, or the network of phase-cloaked platforms scattered throughout the asteroid belt. They didn't notice the subtle variations in Earth's electromagnetic field that masked the presence of technology far beyond what humanity was supposed to possess. In her private office, Chen activated her neural interface, a piece of technology the Meridians couldn't imagine humans wielding. Through it, she connected to the quantum-encrypted network that linked Earth's true defensive infrastructure. Status reports flowed directly into her consciousness from facilities that, according to every official record, didn't exist. "Status report," she subvocalized, the command carrying through the neural net. "Luna Base reports all systems green," came the immediate response. "The fleet is ready for deployment on your command. Solar Array Defense Grid is fully charged and awaiting activation. All phase shift generators are operating within parameters." Chen reviewed the readiness reports with satisfaction. For 30 years, humanity had prepared for this moment. Every public space launch, every seemingly primitive satellite deployment, had been part of an elaborate deception. The Meridians, like others before them, had made the fatal mistake of assuming technological advancement followed a predictable linear path. They hadn't considered that a species might deliberately hide its true capabilities. They hadn't imagined that the crashed scout ship they'd secretly planted on Earth 25 years ago, intended to guide humanity's development along predetermined lines, had instead provided the keys to technological revolution. "Begin evacuation protocols for all major population centers," Chen ordered through the neural net. Quietly, "We don't want to tip our hand too soon." She paused, considering the next move in this cosmic chess game. "And get me a secure link to Admiral Hassan at Titan Base. It's time to wake up our sleeping dragons." As the Earth's hidden machinery of war began to stir, Chen looked up at the main display where the Meridian vessel hung like a sword of Damocles. They thought they were looking at an easy conquest, a primitive species that would either submit or launch a futile defense with inferior technology. In 48 hours, they would learn why assuming technological superiority was a dangerous gambit. Humanity had spent 3 decades preparing for this moment, and they were about to demonstrate why underestimating Earth was the last mistake many species would ever make. The game was set. The pieces were in motion, and humanity was ready to reveal that they weren't prey, but predators who had been patiently waiting for this moment. The quantum transport descended through Titan's atmosphere, its stealth systems rendering it invisible to even the most advanced Meridian sensors. Commander Chen watched through the crystalline viewport as layers of perpetual orange haze gave way to reveal humanity's greatest secret. Vase Prometheus stretched across Titan's hydrocarbon seas, its vast structures seamlessly integrated with the moon's natural methane lakes. What appeared to be ice formations and geological features to outside observers were actually quantum-shifted shipyards and weapons facilities that had operated undetected for decades. "Welcome to where we keep our teeth, Commander." Admiral Hassan greeted her as she stepped onto the command deck. The Admiral's dark skin was illuminated by the soft blue glow of holographic displays, showing the status of Earth's hidden fleet. "I trust our visitors are still enjoying their show of force." "The Meridians haven't moved from their position," Chen confirmed, her neural interface connecting to the base's secure network. "They're content to wait for their deadline, convinced we're spending these hours in panic and desperate deliberation." Hassan's laugh was deep and genuine. 48 hours. They're more generous than most." He gestured to the main display where the first of Earth's true warships was emerging from its quantum dock. "Allow me to introduce you to the ESS Reckoning." The vessel that rose from the hydrocarbon sea defied conventional spacecraft design. Its hull was composed of overlapping plates that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal, the product of biomechanical engineering reverse-engineered from a dozen different alien technologies. Along its length, patterns that appeared decorative to the untrained eye were actually arrays of quantum fold generators and phase shift weapons. "She's the first of the Nemesis-class deep strike vessels," Hassan explained as they walked through a quantum-shifted corridor that offered a panoramic view of the shipyard. Designed to operate in both normal space and phase space simultaneously. The Meridians think their shields are impenetrable because they've never encountered weapons that can attack from multiple dimensional states at once. Chen's neural interface provided her with the ship's specifications directly into her consciousness. "How many do we have ready?" 30 Nemesis-class vessels, supported by over 200 Phoenix-class escorts, and roughly 1,000 Chimera strike craft, Hassan replied. "But numbers aren't our advantage. It's how we use them." They entered the fleet's neural command center, where rows of operators sat at stations that looked deceptively simple. Each controller wore a neural interface far more sophisticated than the public versions used in civilian life, allowing them to link directly with their assigned vessels. "This is where we change the rules of space combat," Hassan said proudly. "The Meridians, like most advanced species, rely on artificial intelligence and predictive algorithms for combat coordination. They believe organic minds are too slow to handle the complexities of modern warfare." Chen nodded, watching as the operators ran combat simulations, their consciousness merged with their ship's systems. They've never encountered neural-linked human pilots operating quantum-shifted vessels. "Exactly." Hassan brought up a tactical display showing the Meridian fleet's current position. Their combat AI is programmed to recognize patterns, to predict actions and reactions based on established rules of engagement. But human intuition linked directly with our technology. He smiled. "There are no patterns to recognize, no rules to predict. Every human pilot thinks and reacts differently, making decisions that no algorithm would consider logical." Through her neural interface, Chen accessed the readiness reports from Earth's other hidden facilities. Luna Base was bringing its quantum artillery online. The Mars defense platforms were charging their phase shift generators. Throughout the solar system, humanity's true military infrastructure was awakening from its long slumber. Time check, she subvocalized through the neural net. 36 hours until the meridian deadline, came the immediate response. Chen turned to Hassan. Begin launching the fleet. Keep them in quantum shift until all vessels are deployed. I want our first strike to hit them from every direction simultaneously. And the civilian evacuation. Proceeding according to plan. We're using the Meridian Ultimatum as cover to move our population centers into the hardened shelters. As far as they can tell, it's just panic and chaos. Hassan's expression turned serious. You know they'll have reinforcements waiting in nearby systems. This won't be a single battle. No, Chen agreed, watching as more ships rose from their hidden docks. This is going to be a war. But we've spent 30 years preparing while they've spent 30 years underestimating us. And now we're going to show them exactly what humanity is capable of. The next several hours were a symphony of controlled activity as Earth's hidden fleet took shape. Ships that had never seen actual combat but had run countless simulations moved into their predetermined positions, their quantum signatures masked by technology the Meridians didn't know existed. Each vessel carried weapons and defenses that combined stolen alien technology with human innovation in ways their creators had never imagined. But their greatest weapon wasn't their technology. It was the human minds that controlled them, linked directly to their ship's systems in a fusion of organic intuition and mechanical precision. As the deadline approached, Chen stood on the bridge of the reckoning, feeling the ship's systems integrate with her neural interface. Around her, Earth's fleet waited in quantum shift, invisible and undetectable to their would-be conquerors. The Meridians had come expecting to find prey, but they had stumbled into a trap 3 decades in the making. All ships report ready. Hassan's voice came through the neural net. Quantum fold generators charge. Phase shift weapons armed. Neural links operating at optimal efficiency. Chen allowed herself a small smile as she watched the Meridian vessels maintaining their threatening posture, completely unaware of the forces gathering around them. Prepare to execute Operation Thunderbolt. Let's show them why you should never judge a species by its apparent level of technology. The Meridian deadline arrived with characteristic precision. Their massive command ship powered up its primary weapons array, a display of force meant to terrify a primitive species into submission. Behind it, support vessels moved into attack formation, their sensors scanning Earth's apparent defensive capabilities with dismissive confidence. They're broadcasting again, Lieutenant Patel announced from her station aboard the Reckoning. Same ultimatum, but now with a 10-minute countdown. Commander Chen stood at the neural command interface, her consciousness merged with the ship's systems. Through the fleet-wide neural net, she could feel the readiness of every vessel, every pilot, every weapons system. Status of civilian evacuation. Last groups are entering the hardened shelters now. Admiral Hassan reported from his command post on Titan. All non-essential personnel are clear of the target zones. Chen nodded, watching through multiple dimensional states as the Meridian fleet continued their preparations for what they assumed would be a simple demonstration of force. Execute Operation Thunderbolt. All ships, emerge from quantum shift on my mark. Energy began building throughout the solar system as humanity's hidden fleet prepared to reveal itself. The quantum fold generators that had kept them invisible for hours thrummed with power, ready to bring them back into normal space. 3 minutes to Meridian deadline, Paddle reported. Mark. Reality fractured as Earth's fleet emerged from quantum shift. The Reckoning materialized directly above the Meridian command ship, its phase shift weapons already firing. Across the solar system, hundreds of human vessels appeared simultaneously, their positions calculated to surround and trap the alien fleet. The Meridians' reaction was immediate but confused. Their sensors, designed to detect conventional ships and weapons, struggled to track vessels that existed in multiple dimensional states simultaneously. Their combat eye, programmed for traditional space warfare, could not compute the impossible angles of attack. Enemy fleet is attempting to form defensive formations, Patil announced. Their combat systems are trying to establish targeting solutions. They're still thinking in linear terms, Chen observed. All ships, execute attack pattern Hydra. Show them why predictability is a weakness. Through the neural net, human pilots responded with intuition and creativity that no eye could match. The Phoenix-class escorts split into smaller attack groups, their quantum drives allowing them to shift between different points in space faster than the Meridians could track. Chimera strike craft, piloted by neural-linked crews, executed maneuvers that defied conventional physics. The Meridian command ship fired its main weapon, a beam of concentrated energy that could shear a planet in half. The Reckoning's quantum fold generators activated, shifting the vessel partially out of normal space. The beam passed through the space where the ship had been, striking nothing. Multiple hits on enemy support vessels, Hassan reported through the neural net. Their shield technology can't adapt to attacks from multiple dimensional states. First wave of phase shift weapons is showing good effect. Chen watched as the battle unfolded across her neural interface. The Meridians were trying to adapt, but their responses were predictable, based on combat doctrines that assumed warfare followed certain immutable rules. They couldn't comprehend an enemy that ignored those rules entirely. Enemy vessels attempting to launch fighter squadrons, Patil reported. Their combat AI is showing signs of cognitive breakdown. It can't establish valid target solutions. Launch our Chimera squadrons, Chen ordered. Let's show them the difference between AI-driven combat and neural-linked human pilots. The space around Earth lit up with weapons fire as the battle entered its next phase. Meridian fighters, their movements controlled by advanced but predictable combat computers, found themselves engaged with human pilots whose neural links allowed them to react with both machine speed and human creativity. Through the neural net, Chen could feel the excitement and determination of her crews. They had trained for this moment for years, practicing combat maneuvers that would have been impossible without the direct neural connection between human and machine. Enemy command ship is attempting to coordinate a counterattack, Hassan announced. They're trying to establish a conventional battle line. Chen smiled. Exactly what we expected. All Nemesis-class vessels execute attack pattern Omega. Target their command and control nodes with phase shift weapons. Let's see how their fleet functions without their central AI coordination. The Reckoning led the charge, its quantum fold generators creating ghost images that confused enemy targeting systems. Phase shift weapons fired from multiple dimensional states simultaneously, bypassing shields that had never been designed to defend against such attacks. The Meridian command ship's hull began to buckle as weapons fire struck it from angles that shouldn't have been possible. Their combat eye, unable to compute the illogical attack patterns of human vessels, began to show signs of systemic failure. Enemy fleet is losing cohesion, Patil reported with barely contained excitement. Their formation is breaking apart. Individual vessels are attempting to engage independently. That's their mistake, Chen replied. They rely too heavily on centralized control. When their combat eye fails, their entire command structure collapses. She opened a channel to all ships. All vessels press the advantage. Don't let them regroup. Show them why human adaptability trumps artificial intelligence every time. The battle continued to unfold across the solar system, but its outcome was already becoming clear. The Meridians, for all their technological advancement, had never encountered an enemy that combined machine precision with human unpredictability. Their combat doctrine, based on centuries of warfare against predictable foes, had no answer for quantum-shifted vessels piloted by neural-linked humans who ignored conventional tactical doctrine. As their command ship systems began to fail, the Meridian fleet's coordinated defense collapsed into individual actions. Some vessels attempted to retreat, only to find their escape routes blocked by human ships that seemed to appear and disappear at will. Others fought on, but without their combat eyes coordination, they fell one by one to attacks they couldn't predict or counter. Enemy command ship is powering down its weapons, Patil announced. They're transmitting a surrender signal. Chen nodded, feeling the triumph flowing through the neural net from every crew member in the fleet. Accept their surrender, secure their vessels, and prepare for Phase 2. She paused, knowing this was only the beginning. They'll have reinforcements coming. This was just the first test of our capabilities. Through her neural interface, she could feel the readiness of her fleet. They had won their first major engagement, proving that humanity's preparation and innovation could overcome even the most advanced alien technology. But more importantly, they had shown why assuming technological superiority based on apparent development level was a dangerous mistake. The Meridians had come expecting to find prey. Instead, they had discovered that humanity had spent 30 years preparing to be predators. And now the real war was about to begin. The holographic display aboard the Reckoning showed more than just the solar system now. Streams of data flowed through Chen's neural interface, revealing the true scope of humanity's preparation. Across dozens of star systems, carefully placed agents were executing plans decades in the making. Signal from the Arcturian resistance, Lieutenant Paddle reported, her hands moving across the quantum interface. Their sleeper cells have taken control of 3 major Meridian shipyards. They're implementing the technical specifications we provided. Admiral Hassan's holographic form nodded with satisfaction. The Proxima Centauri underground reports similar success. The slave labor force we've been secretly training is rising up against their overseers. Chen studied the tactical display, watching as points of light flared across Meridian space. Earth hadn't just been preparing its own defenses for the past 30 years. They had been building a network of allies among the Empire's subjugated species, sharing technology and training in ways their oppressors never suspected. Message from the Syrian Shadow Council, Patel announced. Their quantum disruptors are performing exactly as designed. 2 Meridian battle groups have already been neutralized. The Syrians had been among the first to accept Earth's covert assistance. Their natural talent for stealth technology had complemented human innovation perfectly. Now they were teaching the Meridians the cost of underestimating lesser species. Admiral, Chen called through the neural net. Status of the Helios Protocol. Hassan's holographic form smiled. The biomechanical seeds we helped the Centaurians plant in their orbital defense networks are blooming. They've already reclaimed control of their home systems platforms. The Meridians never imagined their own technology could be turned against them so effectively. This was the moment Chen had been waiting for. The Meridians' initial defeat at Earth had forced them to split their forces, responding to threats that seemed to appear from nowhere. Their mighty empire was discovering that its foundation of fear and oppression was more fragile than they had imagined. Launch Phase 2, Chen commanded. All Earth fleet elements, execute Operation Avalanche, and send the signal to our allied forces. Remember their training. Strategic targets only, no civilian casualties. We're here to break the Empire's power, not become them. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Throughout Meridian space, resistance forces armed with Earth-designed weapons struck at command centers and military installations. Quantum communication networks, the backbone of Imperial control, shattered under the assault of viruses that had waited years for this signal. Message from the Arcturus Defense Council, Paddle reported. They're requesting additional technical support for their next strike. The resistance on Proxima II is also asking for the activation of their hidden weapon caches. Chen nodded to her communications team. Give them everything they need. It's time to show the galaxy what happens when the oppressed stand together. Through her neural link, she could feel the excitement and determination of her crew. They had known this war would be fought on multiple fronts, that Earth's greatest weapon would be the hope they had given to others. The Meridian Response Fleet is breaking formation, Hassan reported with a note of triumph. They're receiving distress calls from at least 30 major systems. Their command structure is starting to fracture. Chen watched as more points of light appeared on the galactic display. The Meridians had spent centuries building their power through fear and domination. Now they were learning that fear could turn to courage, that the species they had dismissed as primitive could rise up and strike back. "All Earth forces," she ordered. "The galaxy is rising. Now we show the Meridians why you should never underestimate the power of unity and hope." The next hours brought a cascade of victories across Meridian space. The quantum-shifted ships of Earth's fleet, now joined by vessels from a dozen liberated worlds, struck at the heart of imperial power. The Meridians found themselves fighting enemies that seemed to appear from nowhere, using technologies they had thought impossible for lesser species to possess. "Multiple quantum signatures detected," Patil announced suddenly. "Massive Meridian fleet emerging from hyperspace. They're on an intercept course for Earth." Chen had been expecting this. The Meridians would try to crush the heart of the rebellion, hoping to demoralize their former subjects who had dared to rise against them. "How many ships?" she asked, though her neural interface was already providing the answer. "Over 2,000 vessels," Hassan replied, "including 3 of their Worldbreaker-class dreadnoughts. They're pulling forces from every corner of their empire for this strike." Chen allowed herself a grim smile. "Good. That's exactly what we wanted them to do." She opened a channel to all Earth and Allied forces. "Execute Operation Sunstorm. Show them why spreading your forces thin against an enemy that can strike anywhere is never wise." As the massive Meridian Armada approached Earth, determined to crush the upstart humans who had dared to challenge their power, they didn't realize they were falling into yet another trap. The species they had conquered and oppressed were rising up behind them, armed with human technology and burning with the desire for freedom. The real war was about to begin, and the Meridians were about to learn that their greatest mistake hadn't been underestimating Earth's technology. It had been underestimating humanity's ability to unite others in the cause of liberty. The massive Meridian Armada emerged from hyperspace like a storm of metal and energy, their Worldbreaker dreadnoughts leading the charge. The space between Mars and Earth became a canvas of destruction as thousands of ships prepared for what they believed would be the final battle. Commander Chen watched from the Bridge of the Reckoning, her neural interface processing the flood of tactical data. "Enemy fleet is deploying into attack formation," Lieutenant Patil reported. "Their combat AI is adapting to our previous tactics. They're attempting to create a multi-layered defense that can counter quantum-shifted attacks." "Let them try," Chen replied, feeling the readiness of Earth's forces through the neural net. "Admiral Hassan, is Operation Sunstorm ready?" "All elements in position." Hassan's voice came through the link. "The Arcturians and Syrians are standing by. The Centaurian bioships are in place. They're waiting for your signal." Chen allowed herself a moment to appreciate the irony. The Meridians had gathered their forces for a decisive strike, not realizing they had positioned themselves perfectly for humanity's final trap. "Begin the operation. Let's show them what real unity looks like." The first indication that something was wrong came when the Meridian fleet's quantum communications began to fail. Throughout their formation, ships suddenly lost contact with their combat coordination network. The virus that Earth's cyber warfare teams had planted in their surrendered vessels weeks ago was finally activating, spreading through their entire command structure. "Enemy fleet is experiencing widespread systems failure," Patil announced with satisfaction. "Their combat AI is going offline. Individual ships are losing coordination." "Now," Chen commanded, "all forces execute attack pattern Omega Prime." Space itself seemed to tear apart as Earth's hidden fleet emerged from quantum shift. But they weren't alone. From behind Mars, a massive fleet of Arcturian stealth ships appeared. The asteroid belt came alive as Syrian vessels, hidden for weeks, revealed themselves. From the outer system, Centaurian bioships approached, their organic technology defying conventional detection. The Meridian fleet found itself surrounded by forces they had never imagined could exist. Species they had conquered and oppressed had united under Earth's banner, armed with technology that matched or exceeded their own. "Enemy dreadnoughts are powering up their main weapons," Hassan reported. "They're preparing to fire their planet killers." Perfect timing, Chen replied. Execute the Prometheus protocol. Throughout the solar system, quantum transmitters that had been carefully positioned over decades activated simultaneously. The fabric of space-time itself began to fluctuate, creating a cascade of quantum disruptions that the Meridians had never encountered before. The massive energy beams from the dreadnoughts fired, but in the quantum-disrupted space, they twisted and curved, missing their targets entirely. The Meridian fleet's carefully planned formation began to break apart as ships found themselves unable to maintain their positions in the shifting reality around them. All ships, attack, Chen ordered. Show them what happens when the galaxy unites against tyranny. The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries as the moment that changed the galaxy forever. Earth's fleet, together with their allies, struck from every direction at once. Quantum-shifted vessels phased through Meridian shields. Arcturian stealth ships appeared inside their formation, striking at vital systems before vanishing again. Syrian quantum disruptors shattered their remaining defenses, while Centaurian bioships adapted to counter every tactic they attempted. Through it all, humanity's neural-linked pilots demonstrated why combining human creativity with advanced technology was superior to pure machine logic. The Meridian Combat Eye, already compromised by Earth's viruses, could not adapt to the chaos of battle, where every enemy ship seemed to ignore the laws of physics and conventional military doctrine. First dreadnought critical, Paddle reported as one of the massive ships succumbed to the combined assault. Second showing massive system failures. The third is, they're powering down their weapons. The Meridian Fleet Commander is broadcasting on all frequencies. Put them through, Chen ordered. The voice that filled the bridge was very different from the arrogant tones that had delivered their ultimatum weeks ago. This is Fleet Master Xor of the Meridian Collective. We request terms. Chen looked out at the battlefield where the once mighty Meridian Armada now floated in disarray. Unconditional surrender, she replied. All Meridian forces will stand down immediately. You will order all your forces throughout the galaxy to cease hostilities against former subject worlds. The age of the collective is over. There was a long pause before the response came. We accept your terms. As the Meridian ships began powering down their weapons, Chen opened a channel to all allied forces. The war is over, she announced. But our work is just beginning. Today marks the dawn of a new era in the galaxy, one of cooperation instead of domination, of unity instead of subjugation. Through her neural interface, she could feel the joy and triumph flowing from every ship in the combined fleet. The Meridians had brought this moment upon themselves. Their assumption of supremacy, their dismissal of lesser species, had led to their downfall. In the months that followed, a new galactic order emerged. The Meridian Collective was dissolved, its former subject worlds gaining their independence. But they didn't stand alone. Earth led the formation of the Galactic Concordat, an alliance of equals where every species contributed their unique strengths and perspectives. The quantum technology that had been humanity's secret weapon became a tool for peace, connecting worlds and cultures that had been kept apart by Meridian dominion. The neural interface systems that had given human pilots their edge in combat were adapted to facilitate understanding between different species. Standing in the newly constructed Concordat assembly on Mars, Commander Chen looked out at the representatives of 100 worlds, former enemies now working together to build a better future. The Meridians were there too, humbled but not destroyed, learning to be part of a galaxy they had once tried to rule. We didn't just win a war, she told Admiral Hassan as they watched the proceedings. We changed the very nature of galactic civilization. Hassan nodded, his expression thoughtful. And all because the Meridians made the mistake of assuming technological advancement could only follow one path. They never imagined that a species might take a different road. That was their greatest failure, Chen agreed. They thought technology alone made a civilization advanced. They forgot that true advancement comes from how you use that technology, and more importantly, how you treat others. As the assembly began its session, discussing ways to help newly freed worlds develop their potential. Shen felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Humanity had proven itself not just in war, but in the greater challenge of building peace. They had shown the galaxy that true strength comes not from domination, but from unity, creativity, and hope. The stars above shone with new promise, no longer distant territories to be conquered, but a vast frontier to be explored together by species who had learned to combine their strengths rather than impose their will. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in centuries, it was full of hope.